All right, so we've got some variables declared. We've got some values assigned to our variables, and down here we're triggering an if statement with the B key press to reduce our health by 10, and then using a debug.log statement to to display in the console over in Unity what our new health value is. In this video, I want to talk just a little bit more about some variables. I'm going to show you a really simple one that you should know about and a really complex one that you should know about also. So quickly, let's do the simple one first. Let's start with a string variable. So let's have a string variable and we'll call it player name. How's that? So a string variable is going to, this data type is just a string of characters. So let's assign a value to that here in the start function. So player name is going to be equal to, and then we're going to put this in quotes with a semicolon at the end, because what this is just it's just a string of characters. We could actually have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But it's not thinking of that as a number. That is not stored as a number in the computer. You can't use it for math. It's almost, think of it like it's the letter 1, the letter 2, the letter 3. So that's the way that the computer's handling them. So what we're going to do here is we're gonna have our player name. I don't know. We'll call it Bob. Whatever. That's fine. So and then we may as well put in a debug.log just to show that our code has actually done something. So player's name is, and then we'll add an item that where debug.log is showing, and then we will show the contents of the player name variable. So let's just save that real quick, and we will go over to Unity. Come on, Unity. There we go. And when we play, player's name is Bob. And if I hit the B key, our health is reduced by 10 each time. So far, so good. So take us back out of play mode. You can see here that our debug.log message does not have the word Bob in it. We're getting that from the player name variable, which is where the word Bob is stored in that. So you can use a string to save. For example, if you're in I don't know, if you go into the shop in your game and the guy behind the counter says, so what'll it be? You know, if that's, you might have dialogue recorded of an actor saying, so what'll it be? But you might also have that that text show on the screen. So you could have that text saved in a string variable and have that be what's shown on the screen. So that might be a common way that you would use that. Now here comes the complex one. I want to show you guys a type of variable called a Vector3. So we're going to start by saying we're going to use a I should spell it right, Vector3. Notice here, there's a couple different variations on this. There's a Vector2, there's a Vector3, there's a Vector4, and then there's ones that have int. We're going to use a Vector3. And I'm going to call this one right now, I'm going to call it strength stamina mana. Okay, so first of all, what a Vector3 variable is a single variable that holds 3 separate floating point numbers. Now, the reason why you would want to have a Vector3 where you have a single value that is actually 3 different numbers that make up the one value is for X, Y, and Z, considerations. You've got three-dimensional space that your game is working in. If you had a 2D game, like a side-scrolling platformer, old Super Mario Brothers kind of a thing, then you would not have a z-axis. You would just have an x and a y-axis. So you would be using maybe a Vector2 variable to chart where your x and y position were. Since we're in a 3D space, we've got x, y, and z space that we're working in. So a Vector3 is a variable that's designed to hold three different numbers for the purpose of having an x and a y and a z number stored there. Now, we don't have to use them for that. The main thing that I want you to understand is that a Vector3 just holds three numbers, and you could use them for anything. This is probably not the most graceful way to do this, but for the moment, let's take our strength. Maybe I should spell that right. Strength. And stamina and mana. So we've got three different things that we're going to keep track of on our character. So when we assign a value to that, what we're going to do is go capital S. See, capitalization matters. So I'm going to go lowercase strength, because this is a variable, so it's lowercase, is going to be equal to, now this is a unique, we can't just start throwing numbers at this. We can't tell it that the first number is this, and the second number is that, and the third number is that. What we have to do is say, this group of three numbers, the three numbers inside this variable are equal to these three numbers, and we cannot give them one at a time. We have to say it's a complete set of three numbers. And the complete set of three numbers has to be given as a Vector3. So what we're going to do is we're going to say it's a new Vector3, right? And then the new Vector3 has its three numbers in it inside a set of parentheses with a semicolon at the end. So for right now, strength, stamina, mana is going to, let's say that our character's strength at the beginning of the game has a value of 10. And then we're going to put in a comma. Stamina, we may as well give that a 10 also. 10. And then mana, I don't know, magic is that's a scale more like the health meter, I think. So rather than going with a smaller number like 10, I don't know, maybe we're going with strength and stamina. Let's give all of these 100, right? 100, 100, and 100. Now I'm going to do something a little bit different here. Because strength, stamina, mana, you know what, let's put some weird numbers in here. The reason I want to put some weird numbers in here is to show you a couple things about the Vector3, but also about float numbers, because a Vector3 number is actually a combination of three floating point numbers, not just any numbers, but floating point numbers. It allows for decimal places. So let's say our strength is, let's say that on a scale of 1 to 10, where or 0 to 10, I suppose, where 0 is you have no strength at all and can't even stand up, and 10 is you are Arnold Schwarzenegger in the 80s. Then let's say that our character, because we're in a video game and we're not Arnold Schwarzenegger, but we're close, we're going to say our character has a strength of 8.8. Notice it's underlined. Visual Studio right away has a problem with the way that we wrote this. And the problem is this dot right here. The problem with the dot is that dots are used in code, like over here in our debug.log. The dot means that we're going from one thing into a smaller portion of it. So, for example, if I was to describe where my bed is, I would say it's in my house dot my room, right? So first, if you're going to go into my room, you have to go into my house. It's in there. You have to go in there first. So the dot shows you that we're going down a level. This is sort of like the hierarchy, right? So you might say the player dot the left eye dot the left pupil. It shows that we're going down the list here. You can't just find the pupil if you're not looking inside the player object. So think of the way that dots get used in code as being something similar to that. So if we have 8.8, the computer has a problem with 8.8 because it doesn't think it's 8.8. So what we're going to do is we're going to put an F on the end of that, 8.8F. The F here is a signal to the computer that this dot over here is not a dot, it's a point. This is 8.F in a floating point number. Our stamina is, I don't know, let's give it 5.6F, right? And our mana, because we're using a, we're going to start off with a 100, a full mana bar. Just because this is a floating point number, yeah, we're giving it an integer number. We're giving it a whole number. We're not giving it a decimal value. But because it's being stored in a variable that can hold floating point numbers, let's get in the habit of just always putting an F on the end of the thing. So I'm putting 100F, even though there isn't a decimal in there. The computer doesn't care on this one because there is no dot in the middle of this. It doesn't care if there's an F on the end or not. But just for our own repeatability, our own ability to make sure that we're not confused as we do stuff, whenever you're putting a number, when you're an actual typed in digits and number into a variable that holds a floating point number, get used to putting an F on the end. This is good stuff. Okay, so in our strength, stamina, mana, we now have 3 different numbers saved in there. So this is the main thing that I wanted you to know about how to manipulate a Vector3 value, is that whenever you put numbers in here, you cannot just do it however you want. You have to say, this Vector3 is being saved into this Vector3. You can't just throw 3 numbers in it. You have to encapsulate your 3 numbers inside of a Vector3 structure before you can put that structure into this Vector3 structure, if that makes sense. So down here, we had an if statement that is going to, under certain circumstances, it's going to delete, it's going to deplete, rather, our health bar by 10. Let's make one that uses mana. So I've already got a nice if statement right here. So I'm going to steal that. I'm going to copy that, Control-C to copy. I'm going to get underneath this and hit enter and make myself a little space here. And I'm going to paste it again. Now, there's some stuff wrong with this. These 2 lines of code are not what I want to be in here. And I want to trigger it with not the B key. So let's use the M key. I'm going to go keycode.m, capital M. And this is going to simulate that I am performing some magical action that is going to deplete my mana by, I don't know, we may as well use 10 again, right? So the trick is, though, we want, because our mana is saved in this, granted, kind of awkward Vector3 structure, the whole point of us doing this is that I want you to learn to work with the Vector3 structure, because how you mess with the Vector3 when it comes to motion and stuff like that, you really have to be comfortable with how you're manipulating the 3 different values as a single set. So we're going to say strength, stamina, mana, which is the complete set, right? Strength, stamina, mana is going to be equal to, whenever we're going to change the value in this, we have to assign a new value to it, right? Now, the trick is here, we're going to have to, again, put our numbers into a complete set. This is going to be a new Vector3, right? With parentheses and a semicolon. Now, basically, we've got number 1, number 2, and number 3. That's the way that this is going to go in. I don't actually want 1, 2, 3. We have to figure out what we're actually going to put here. But this is how the thing works. So when we're depleting our mana, we want only the third number to change. We don't want the first number or the second number to be any different than what they are. So what we're going to do is we're going to have to say, okay, well, what is the first number in strength, stamina, mana? Anybody remember? It was right up there. Right up there. Let's scroll up and have a look. It was 8.8F. We don't want to have to remember. What we want is our code to go and find that number and use it again. So our three numbers, again, are kind of the whole point of having three numbers in a set is because we got 3D space and we're going to have an X and a Y and a Z axis that we're working with. So the first number in a vector3 set is going to be called the X value. The second number is going to be the Y value, and the third number is going to be the Z value. X, Y, and Z, just like if we look at our transform position, we have X, Y, and Z. So if we want to grab the first number out of strength, stamina, mana, we have to go to strength, stamina, mana. Remember the dots, not point, dot. Strength, stamina, mana, dot X is going to grab just the X value out of the strength, stamina, mana vector3. So we can't just store one new number into we can't just change the third number and store just the new third number in here. We have to give the computer a complete set of three numbers to store into this. But when we want to look in there for the numbers, we can't actually look in there and find only one number at a time. So that's what this is. We're looking in strength, stamina, mana and finding just the X number out of it. Now I'm going to copy that. And over here in our number 2, let's paste in, we want strength, stamina, mana dot Y. We want the Y value to be the second number. We're going straight into the thing saying, whatever the first number is, use it again. That's going to be the first number. The second number, use it again. The third number is going to be the dot Z number, but this time we want to subtract 10. It's a floating point number, so 10F, right? So the third number that we're saving in there is going to be strength, stamina, mana dot Z minus 10. So that is, and we got a semicolon on the end, that is how we would maintain all three numbers out of this, or at least the first two, right, are going to be exactly the same. And then the mana, the third value that we have in there, is going to still be based on whatever the number is that's in there. Okay. So now I want to make some space here. I'm just going to push that bracket down because I would like to see how much mana we have. So let's go debug.log, some parentheses and a semicolon. Let's get some quotes in there. Debug.log. See. Mana. See, current mana. Let's say that. Current mana equals. And then we're going to add an item to our debug.log. And it's going to be, we're going to look in the variable, strength, stamina, mana, and grab just the .z number out of it. We only want to show what the third number is. We don't want to know what our current strength level is. We don't want to know what our current stamina level is. Just the mana level. So let's see what this does. First, save it. Then we'll switch back over to Unity. Come on, Unity, catch up. There we go. When we hit play, because it says clear on play, all of our messages go away, except that our player's name is Bob. That's new, since that's in our start function. When I hit B, it depletes our life. B, current health went down to 90, went down to 80. When I hit M, current mana went to 90, and then 80, and then 70. So we're correctly and successfully altering these values that we have in our vector3 and in our more simple float variables. So that is the gist of how you need to work with vector3s. Just remember, whenever you are assigning a value into a vector3 variable, you need to use this new vector3 structure, and in it you specify what the 3 numbers are. You can't just start throwing numbers at this guy. When we get to movement pretty soon, then we're going to need to use those vector3s. So make sure you're comfortable with what this is. All right, good job.